Hi, Linda. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm extra happy now that I have my PMP.
Thank you so much for the time and congratulations on passing your PMP exam.
Thank you. Thank you. I am beyond ecstatic and I have placed it all over my social media that I've gotten it. So I'm having people stop me on the road because I'm in a very small island. People just now, I was on my way out and someone flagged me down, stopped me on the road to tell me congrats. So
Wow. Um,
everyone is wishing me congrats. So I'm really, really, really happy as well. So
Wonderful. I'm so happy on your success.
thank you.
I was
Thank you.
actually I was actually looking for it because I was like, if Linda passes the exam, then everybody else would follow. Then other people would be following. And now your colleagues from government, they're contacting me. Okay, Linda has done an amazing job. We are going to do that. Let's submit the application. Let's do and everybody gets excited and active. So yeah.
I'm really happy for that. And one of the permanent secretaries actually, well, a couple of them reached out to me, well, more than a couple, reached out to me after, and one said the same thing. He said, you've now inspired me. I think I'm gonna get the show on the road. So I'm quite happy for that as well. So,
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Linda. So let's talk about your brief introduction about your work.
okay. So I am currently the deputy head of the program management office in the government of Montserrat. My background is actually architecture, so I'm an architect by profession. I was the chief architect previously for the government, but I transitioned into program management. So I'm now doing a range, well, everything from program management to actual project management, because we're really short-staffed as well. So I'm getting the best of, well, it's all the project world, but the best of both worlds in terms of project and program management and a bit of portfolio management as well. So that's essentially what I've been doing. And yeah, since I've transitioned, I realized I do need to get qualified, and I have had my eye on PMP for a ridiculous number of years. I think right after I finished my undergrad, I've had my eye on PMP. Admittedly, I tried my hand at CAPM. I didn't understand or appreciate the value of CAPM at the time. I didn't get through with it. But afterwards, when I understood it and I realized that PMP was the level above, I was definitely hyped and I said I wanted it, but I just never got around to it.
All
So
right,
yeah.
great. So what was your exam preparation strategy? What did you do?
Okay, so I have been out of studying for a few years. So the thought of studying, I think, is what had deterred me from pursuing the PMP. But I knew I had to get around to it. So my strategy was actually to do your evening sessions. And that helped because even though I did it 35 hours, the information was so compacted that you kind of sometimes don't fully register all details of it. So the 35 hours was great, but when I started to do the the evening sessions and I started looking at your YouTube videos as well, that really kind of solidified the information that I would have gotten in the 35 hours. So that helped me to retain a lot of the information. So that really actually inspired me to actually push further because I went in thinking, oh my God, I'm not going to know much. And started to study. It's very overwhelming. But I started to do the 10 questions. I think after I did one of the 10 the sessions, the nightly sessions with the 10 questions, I said, all right, let me check out the YouTube videos. And I was getting a lot of them wrong at the start, but they I really started to retain the information. I started to feel a little bit more confident. So I started going, I was like, all right, I can do this. I think I've seen all of the videos except maybe for 6 of them. So I've watched tons of the videos. And I used to do them even when cleaning my house, cooking. I'll have in my earbuds and listening, and every 3 seconds I'm stopping to choose an answer. And that kind of helped me get a little bit more confidence. And I recall you saying in the chat group as well, telling everyone just book the exam date, just schedule an exam. So I finally, after a while, I started trying to read the book as well before I booked my exam, but it was daunting to try and read. But I think I read the first couple chapters. Um, and then I finally just said to myself, book it. I gave myself 3 weeks advance notice. So I booked it for 3 weeks in the future. And I came up with a study plan, which was essentially, all right, I'm going to try and do a chapter a day. which was a bit ambitious because my concentration was awful. So, but I still was pushing. I was still trying to do a chapter a day. Some of them ended up being 2 days, and I did the chapter quizzes that were given to us at the start. Um, and then you had to actually given the mock exams and the mock quizzes as well. So that kind of helps. So I started to do those consistently. Like I said, maybe once trying to knock off a chapter a day or chapter every 2 days. And it really helped. And I'm gonna be honest, because I really hate studying and reading, I did everything possible to avoid reading the book. I tried YouTube videos, different YouTube videos. Okay, maybe I can get like a summarized version, but I realized I just couldn't do it. I tried skimming through one of the chapters when it started to get a bit much. And I ended up doing the first 20 questions of one of the mock quizzes for that chapter. And I got 55%. And then I said, okay, this cannot work. So I ended up reading the chapter in full. And then I went back and did another 20, 30 questions and I got 70%, or 75%. I was like, okay, definitely need to read the book. So I forced myself and I read the entire book, I think, except for the business compliance section. Um, but I read the entire thing and I realized that there were a lot of information. There was a lot of information that was within the definitions or within some of the text that changed your perspective, of whatever the chapter was that you just could not get from skimming through. So I read the whole thing and I did the chapter mock exams, or the chapter, yeah, mock exams right after each chapter. And then when I finished everything, all the chapters, I did the dedicated mock exams that were all the chapters together. Um, they were a little bit of a struggle to get through because I was trying to do the questions at pace, what was expected for the exam, but um, sometimes I know I kind of struggle to try and complete, but I did, yeah, so I did the mock exams. Um, and afterwards, yeah, I I think the night before the exam, I went back over the book and I just quickly just skimmed through again, just to remind myself certain things like the diagrams on the charts, the names of them, what they looked like, what they were applying to. So like a tornado diagram is related to risk. Next thing you know, I think that the tornado is related to stakeholders or some weirdness. So I made sure I knew which ones were which, and just reinforce certain terminologies and so forth. And then I prayed a lot and then went into the exam. Um, yeah, that was my study prep, more or less. But,
Thank you for detailed explanation. So how much total time you allocated for study for the entire preparation process?
ooh, okay, so I would have done the 35 hours in February. I had another certification that I was kind of working on for the next few months, so I dedicated that time. So I started to properly prepare for PMP in around July-ish, July, August. And at that time, that's when I started to do the YouTube videos and your nightly sessions, and I do maybe an hour or two. So I do either one or two of the videos in a day. And that went on for weeks. I tried to read the book, like I said, for a few weeks, but I think realistically it might have been because my concentration is awful, it might have been maybe 2 to 3 hours a day. Let's say 2 hours. And then when it came now after I booked the exam, I went into 8 to 10 hours a day. But again, my concentration is awful, so it's taking forever to read the chapters. I guess if somebody has a better attention span, they can knock off a chapter in maybe half an hour. But I also have a 2-year-old, and so I'm reading and doing mock exams with her climbing over me, all over me, and attention, and so other commitments as well. So that kind of pulled from me, but um, I think roughly between 8 to 10 hours. So I was leaving work in the afternoons and trying to study right into the night. And yeah, but again, I'm sure others can do it in a lot less time, but that was just me personally with my commitments and stuff. But yeah, that's about it. Right up until the couple of days before the exam, I took a couple of days off to do the mocks. But yeah.
All right. How many practice questions did you solve, and what was your average score in those mock tests?
Okay, so I did 4 of the chapter mocks fully. I did all like 100. I did about 50 questions from maybe about 4 or 5 of them. And for one, I just did about 20 questions. Because time was running out and I had to pace myself. So I had to try and get a little bit of each. Um, and the mocks, I think I did 2/3 from one and 1/3 from the other. But with the other little chapter mocks and other stuff, I think maybe I did about 750 questions, roughly-ish. 750. I tried to find some online as well, but some of them just seemed a little too easy.
And
So I was like,
and
yeah,
these 750 questions are in addition to daily class, which is around 700, 800 questions on YouTube.
that's true. Yes, it is. Yes, so I did a lot. And it like I said, it really changed my perspective of how I view things. So and I started to really pick up the nuances in the questions or the little slight things that would change the whole perspective. Like a word would just change the whole perspective of the question. So I started to pick those up very easily after a while. So I'm grateful for that too. So yeah.
All right. If I ask you, what's the similarity of those YouTube questions with the real exam, if we compare these two?
Um, I think if I'm to be honest, I think the YouTube questions were a lot clearer. Um, they were challenging, a lot clearer. The exam questions, there were some of them that were confusing. I wouldn't say difficult, they were just confusing. So in reality, I think if you had actually developed the questions for the exam, it would have been a lot better.
All
But
right.
not, yeah, just better. But there were some questions on the exam that had me sit back, read over the question over and over, wondering what exactly are they asking for. Um, whereas, like I said, the mocks and the YouTube questions is clearer, difficult, but clearer because I was getting maybe roughly about 65 to 70%. In some instances with the actual full marks, I was getting like 75 and 80%. But um the the exam questions, some of them were very clear, and then there were others that I don't know if those were the test questions, but there's some that had me reading like, what are you passing for? But again, it's the entire concept, you just choose the ones that's best suited as much as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, just best suited. But yeah.
Uh, all right. Can you highlight some of the important topics for the students?
Um, my exam had, I only pulled out the calculator once. I think I only had one calculation question, which I found a little strange because I was trying to memorize some of the calculations. I can't even remember which one it was, um, but the topics that team tend to really have reoccurred seem to be more about people management. Um, there were obviously questions on processes and so, but I found the ones on people management that they came out a lot more. At least to me, that maybe they felt that there was a lot more with them. Um, and I think just understanding some of the diagrams and the charts and so would also be useful. Um, yeah, that's that's mostly it.
All right. How did you manage your time during the exam?
Okay, so I knew that each question, when you break it down, is roughly about a minute and 20 seconds, roughly. But I try to, as I said, go at pace. So I would read the question a few times. Again, horrible concentration, and just choose an answer, really quick the answers, and just choose one, move on quickly. I completed the exam with 2 minutes to spare. So, yeah, towards the end, though, I realized I had to pick up pace. I think towards the start, I I I made sure to try and go as quickly as possible because I know there are going to be some questions here that maybe I would have to read over quite a bit. So I try to go as quickly as possible. So I think it was like 72 minutes I had estimated for each section, each 60 minutes. But I think I try to finish it maybe around 67-ish minutes per section. So I had a few minutes for the more challenging ones. But yeah, that's about it.
Were you confident that you're going to pass the exam while you were taking the exam?
No. No, I was confident with the mocks. I was confident with everything. But I think why was because with my mocks, I because I knew I was studying, I had more frequent breaks. I would do 20 minute, like not 20 minutes, 20 questions, and then check the answers. I guess maybe kind of check and see what if my train of thought was correct. Um, and then I do maybe like an next 50 and that sort of stuff there. But with this, you kind of going in blind in a sense where you don't know if, like, all right, that's reasonable for that one. And you might see another question come up later on. It's like you can kind of gauge. But no, I was not confident. I but at the same time, I knew that I was being hard on myself on a lot of the marks. So a lot of times when I was marking myself, I was thinking, oh my God, I'm probably only going to get like 20%. And then I ended up getting like 68% or something. So yeah, yeah, that's about it.
Yes, absolutely. It happens. Even when I took my exam, I was not confident. So this is
Yeah,
really, yeah, this is really important for students to understand. When you're taking the exam, stay confident. Like,
yeah,
and forget about if you couldn't understand a question, forget about and move forward, right? Don't just think about, okay, you have a one question wrong, because that would impact your future performance as well. So just stick with the plan and, results would be good.
yeah.
Linda, any advice for PMP aspirants?
Read the book. I have been telling everyone on my side in terms of those who would have done it 35 hours, you cannot avoid reading a book. I tried, like I said, by all means necessary to try and avoid reading it, but I've told all of them profusely. I think right now I'm such a big advocate for the PMP that any conversation anybody had with me for the past 3 months, PMP. So telling them different tips and so forth. So there a lot of my colleagues who would have done it with me. Well, one of my colleagues would have done the 35 hours with me. She's also preparing right now to take her exam. I think she's going to book it pretty soon. And the others, the more executive ones, they're also in the process of starting to prepare. So they're starting to make the applications for the exams. I know they're also very excited about doing it. A lot more than I expected, to be honest. I mean, sometimes when you reach a certain level, you don't. I guess my thought was maybe they'll just kind of see it as, but they're really excited about it. And they've already started coming up with their study strategies and so. Um, some of my other colleagues as well, I'm gonna try and push them to do it. Make sure that they've all promised me because I've made them promise that it's not going to be the case where they've just under 35 hours. I've been a bully harassing them, ensuring I said, please, whatever you do, do the exam. Just do it. It will be great for you. It's an amazing qualification. Um, and it'll just make you a force to be reckoned with. Um, so they've all promised, yes, they will do it. So yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Linda, for the time and discussing all the valuable lessons learned. These would be really helpful for people who would be watching. And once again, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. Have a
And
nice.
thank you as well.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
The
And
tutelage
keep
was
working
great.
on your next certifications.
Yes. Thank you. Looking forward to them.
Absolutely. Take care. Have a nice day. Bye.
All right. Thanks. Take care.